Today we'll be talking about stuff. We're gonna get started. Uh, Integration. So what comes to mind when I say integration in regard to psychedelics? What comes to mind? Any hands? No? Ocean?
Like the bringing of psychedelics into our relative worlds in humanity, like bringing it closer to us rather than, yeah, that's how we're gonna use it, bringing it closer to us, either through
Bringing it-
therapy or recreational.
So bridging the gap between psychedelics and our reality, is that like what I'm getting? Or
Sure, you like that.
Okay. Lewis?
I think of integration as like connecting to certain pieces of the psyche that were not connected before or were not even aware of before. So
Okay, so bringing the unconscious to conscious.
it could be vice versa. It could also be
Yeah, vice
parts
versa.
of like how someone thinks that like they haven't sat down and been like, oh, this makes sense, this is where it comes from. And I don't think that's like a subconscious thing a lot of the time.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah, it is part of it. I like that answer. I saw you.
Yeah, I would say law, like if you
Law.
committed crime while
Okay.
you're on acid, how does the law like work? In your favor or not? Because I'm taking this law class and it was very interesting because somebody said that and I was like, true, like if you just kill someone while you're on psychedelic, because some states actually go in favor or something. Yeah, it's something to think about.
That is a whole separate topic, and that is, it's interesting. It's like saying claiming insanity. Like it wasn't me. I was in my natural state, but I don't know if I support that. Like just intuitively, like just because you're on drugs, like is it okay to rape someone if you're on alcohol? No. I don't think psychedelics do that neither. But that's just my take. Like just intuitively, I don't know. I might be completely wrong. So you had a hand, no?
Yeah, I think of the word community.
They're all
together.
connected, honestly. Community, conscious, unconscious, bridging the reality, what we do to life, day to day, and even perhaps law. They are connected, and that's what we'll be talking about today: complementary and alternative therapies. And just to like, this is just its essence. Integration is more than that. It is the period following a psychedelic experience and during the experience. And I would also argue before the experience, and it's very much cited for retaining the benefits that we psychedelics apparently have. Hello, welcome. What's your name? Nice to meet you, Chalice. I'm Bobby. Nice to meet you. How are you doing? Hi. We're talking about integration. What's your thoughts on integration, quickly? We just got started. Do you know what that is? All right, then great. You're in the right place. That's what you're gonna learn that. And person in Zoom, I'm gonna see if I can mute you. Sorry. Oh, hi, Danny. Yeah. All right. Whatever.
Hey, what's up, man?
Can you mute yourself?
My bad. Sorry about
You're good, bro. You're good. All right. All right. So the source we'll be using today, because there's honestly, if you look into integration, there's so many models of integration. And since you weren't here, I'll tell you. Basically, integration is the experience during, after, and even before the psychedelic experience. It's what retains the positive effects that psychedelics apparently have. And there were so many models, so I decided to go with this analysis by these three guys. Their names they're very difficult for me to say, but you guys could read them. And they looked at 10 different models. 6 were holistic models, where basically they applied to anybody, and 4 that were specifically made for therapists. And I know some of you here are interested in that, therapeutics and psychedelics. And so yeah, they synthesized it. And before I actually go into this conversation, there are opportunities. So if you want to be part of this club, I'm looking for an outreach coordinator, just someone to send emails. I'll give you a list and you just, hey, we're a club on FIU, you know about psychedelics, can you educate us? Because I'm just doing research and I'm presenting it to you guys, but obviously it's better if you get it straight from the source. I'm in the works of doing that myself. We have some people from Seagull Trials. They're located in Fort Lauderdale. There's an opportunity they might come and speak with us. They've been doing research for the past 7 years on psychedelics, and that'd be really great. But I would like to scale that. And then marketer, someone who's just a creative. I'm honestly just on Canva, just like trying to make things look pretty, but Yeah, I would like someone dedicated to actually doing that, if you are someone who wants to do that. And there's already someone who took advantage. Sophie, please stand up. She was in one of the meetings. She was here in the second meeting. She scanned the, yeah. Honestly, no, she's been doing amazing. Like, she's been helping so much. I'm honestly so grateful that she decided to take her phone out and scan the QR code, which is this one, and applied. And now she's part of the team, so that could be you. And yeah, let's keep going. So things that may work against us with this concept of integration. So um, we just mentioned a bunch of different ideas around psychedelics. And one thing that I want to hammer home is the fact that our Western conception of categorizing, boxing things into things like this is chair, medicine is that, this is that. That kind of works against us because indigenous people aren't decided to like really using integration. It's something that just naturally happens for them. Their whole process of living life is just integration. And that's something we have to, I believe, is gonna be so beneficial if we could add that to our understanding of reality, that integration is something we do that would be a positive impact as a part of our lives. So yeah, how I kind of conceptualize it is it's the constant pursuit of balance and wholeness. And if you see this picture, I like this picture because it's like there's a bunch of pieces of us out there, and our and integration will help us find these pieces essentially and complete ourselves. And just to hammer home the fact that we're very much box-like thinkers. What are your definitions of the following two terms? Drugs and facilitators or guides. Like when I say drug, what comes to mind? Go, Nicole?
Something that alters your state of being.
Okay,
Well, a substance.
a substance. What about chocolate?
Illness?
Illness helps you get over sickness, yes.
All chemicals that can affect the body.
All chemicals, so there's chemicals in food,
Yeah,
that's a drug,
that's a drug.
interesting.
Like
Yeah,
additives.
think about it.
Yeah, you can.
Vitamin B is a
Like
drug, it's not.
additives and stuff.
I
I
think it's
know.
not, I feel like they won't really classify as like a substance. I think a drug has to be like a sort of.
But he put the word drug,
Yeah,
not a substance. A
Oh, maybe.
substance is different.
I know, but usually I think a drug, I feel like it has to be like a substance.
Okay.
You know?
no, I definitely agree, and see how we're all fighting, you're all right in essence, and we're all fighting for an exact definition. And how I generally understand drug, and maybe most of society perhaps understand drugs, is you take it and you get a result. So you take ibuprofen to heal your aches and pains, and you don't need to do much. You just take it and now you feel better. You drink coffee when you're feeling tired, drink it, now you have energy. That is not necessarily the case for psychedelics. You don't just take psychedelics and you're good. There's some work, so that kind of works against us. And indigenous people know this. They know there's just, you don't just take something and get the positive effects. And when you think about facilitators or guides, what comes to mind? Shamans, okay.
Someone who guides you through your experience.
Okay, shot.
Like a babysitter.
Babysitter, yes.
A doctor.
A doctor, Nicole.
Someone who's knowledgeable in what you're doing.
Okay, yes, very interesting. All of them are very great answers. And the reason I bring this one up is, some people, you guys all, since you all are in this space of understanding psychedelics, you guys kind of have a positive connotation, but there's always been this culture of like, oh, I don't need a therapist, oh, I don't need a facilitator, guider. Our culture is very much, if you go to the next slide, are individual, like we're very like self-sustaining. And people undervalue the value of having a teacher, a guide, a therapist. And so indigenous tribes, they tend to be like community is so important, and they really value having the other individual by their side, and that's part of their healing. And if you look at it, medicine and community is a unified entity under the conception of, I'm saying indigenous tribes, but there's so many. It's like it's very generalized because there's people and there's Tainos in Puerto Rico and the Caribbean, and there's people in Australia. So it's very generalized. Maybe it's just like in general, that's the conception that things are a process and a whole. They're all connected in some way instead of like this is category A, B, C, etc. They're all connected in some way. And so I like to hammer this point home as well. I want you guys to, I want your thoughts on this. We are like an incomplete song. I wonder what comes to mind when I say that.
You familiar with J.R. Tolkien?
No, what was that?
He's the writer of Lord of the Rings.
Cool.
He has a book called The Silmarillion, which is like kind of like the Bible for elves.
Okay.
So it's a book that exists inside the universe of Lord of the Rings that they use. And in that book, it describes the first 3 ages of Middle Earth, including the creation of Middle Earth.
Mm.
And what I've always liked is the imagery of the creation of Middle Earth is a song among these angelic beings called Valar. And it's said that like pretty much evil came into the world. It's not described as evil, it's described as discord.
So like chaos.
Well, discord is in discordance.
Discordance.
When you something that is outside of the song or sounds messy
Okay.
in the song. And I always like that because that imagery of like everyone has a part to play, everyone contributes to this overall song that is the world, goes from the Silmarillion into Lord of the Rings, into the Hobbit, into the thing of like even every single member of the Fellowship, even though they're completely different, they're all
Yes, all
necessary
these
for the
distinct
song.
parts that seem individual, different, separate, are actually working together, are made like a song.
Yeah, and well, I don't think people are like incomplete songs.
Okay.
They can choose to be unaccompanied voices. They can try to fight against the natural tendencies of the world. Just try to create a whole lot of mess, a lot of tension, a lot of discord.
Can you elaborate on unaccompanied voices? What do you mean by that?
Instead of trying to add to something that I already think is beautiful, you say like if I'm in a jam session and like it sounds all right, but like I want to do something completely different. I just start fighting against it. I just start playing something completely different. It just ruins it for everyone. Instead of like me maybe slowly shifting the jam to what I would want, but also responding to how people want
You
to.
just go straight for your own thing, like this is my jam.
Yeah, but when it comes to a jam, you gotta go
Yeah, you wanna
slow.
work
You have to
together,
respect the
exactly.
other musicians.
Community, yes.
Yes.
That's very interesting. I like that perspective. Ever thought of that? Ocean, I see your hand.
So, I don't know, with that phrase is very interesting because how do we know what's completed and what's not completed, right?
Good point.
And then there's the whole idea within ourselves, what is the complete ideal person we are? Even if we think we are completed, are we fully completed? There's the gap of like, y'all know what absurdism is?
Absurdism.
Absurdism matters.
Yeah, like all of this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
and
so
no,
like
yeah.
everything we live in is absurd and nothing makes sense because
And
it's
you wanna
all
embrace it.
sporadic and you embrace it, right? But if you believe in that, right? Like I believe in absurdism, right? And like the other main point of absurdism is that your life has no greater meaning. Like your life will mean nothing inside the greaterness of the universe.
Okay.
And so if you believe in that, it's like, if our life means greater than nothing, how do we know when our life is complete?
Hey, that's something for you to figure out. Yeah.
It is.
No, and I agree, like we're all in this, we're all in this path, yeah.
I could look at it from a Hinduism perspective
Love
or
that.
Buddhism, which is that enlightenment is your wholeness. And enlightenment means you go beyond your mind and body, and there is a realm, you could call it, where everything is so bizarre. And the thing is, Buddha, when he was asked what is enlightenment, he said, language cannot explain it because it is beyond language, so I cannot explain it.
Right.
But obviously he did many other things, which like his quotations or today in the world, there's so many people who follow that religion is for a purpose, right? So I think maybe we are incomplete because maybe you're so busy in the materialistic, and spiritualistic is just like logic, right? We just think or we meditate or we stop our thinking or this, that, but what is it? Like, who am I truly? Like in the end, in my nature, I don't know.
Definitely, it's like how I like to think about it is how does an artist know when a masterpiece is a masterpiece? They just know. And I think that's how you'll find out for yourself when you're a masterpiece. You'll just know. and it takes a lot of work to get there. And so I believe how, like any artist, how you get there to create the masterpiece, then I believe you all are. Because if you think about a song is a bunch of notes together. And I believe in the way we live life right now, and this Western conception of thinking. Like if you lose one note, this like think of your favorite song. If one note was taken off, you may not even notice the difference. It might sound a little off, but you're like, it's fine. Like it's still the same song. And then maybe if you remove 4 or 5 notes, then you'll notice it's really off. Like this is not the same song. And this is something instead of happening so drastically, like in a song, you could take 5 notes off like in seconds. That happens to us slowly over time. And so that's when 5 years down the line, you look back and your life is damn, life is different. Like you notice those 5 notes are gone. And I believe we're in this process of creating that masterpiece that we all are, a song. And by finding all these notes that make sense, maybe you try the G string and that doesn't work. So you try the other string and then eventually you'll build up. So it's trial and error. And I believe this is my personal philosophy. And I think this is something that fits for everybody, even if you're religious, if you believe in absurdism. I believe this could be helpful for everybody. And this is why I'm giving this book away. So I studied philosophy for that was my major. And so this took me 2-3 years to come up with and this book really like nailed it down for me. And I want to pass that over for you guys. And I believe this could help everybody. So Aristotle has this virtue theory, and we're not going to go into the golden mean. We're going to talk about what he believes makes something good. What makes a good pair of scissors?
It's sharp.
It cuts well. What makes a good horse?
It's strong.
Strong and it runs fast. And that concept kind of breaks down and broke down for me when I was learning about it my freshman year. What makes a good human?
Kindness.
Love. Morals. But it's all abstract. It's not, because when you said scissors, it's like, oh, cut fast, horse, strong. But humans, we just said 3 morals, kindness, love. All those are kind of like, what does that really mean? And I believe what makes a good human and a bad human is the human who spends more time in the natural state. The more time you spend in the natural state, the more good you are, essentially. And the natural state, to define it, is like a baby with all its needs met. This is a baby with all its needs met. And it's joy, peace, and abundance. And I believe being in that state as much as you can creates space. And in that space, you could find the goal of integration, completing the song, which is all these different pieces to eventually create the masterpiece. And you'll know because, no one really knows, like an artist, when they're creating art pieces, they just one day know, it's like, oh, that's the masterpiece. And I believe that's how we'll get there.
That's really good.
Yeah. And so back to the definition of what is integration, same concept. It's the period during and following a psychedelic experience, but my modification is to help reach balance or wholeness. Because like I said, I believe we're all like songs, we have a bunch of missing pieces. And if you guys study therapy, there's this Gestalt therapy, which is basically is believed that we're all a bunch of pieces. So there's some connection to Western thinking that already adopts this way of thinking that we're just a bunch of pieces and we gotta put them all together. Sorry. So, how do you do that? How can I help someone else do that? How do I help someone get into the natural state? What are your thoughts? Maybe it's okay, but that could be part of it, 100%. No. See, Nicole?
Teach them how to live life and not fight or flight mode.
Okay. So get out of survival mode.
Yeah.
Maybe just meditation.
Express yourself in different ways, like whatever you like, music, art, painting, dancing, whatever.
Yes, Liz.
Be very open and tell people that no matter what they think of the experience or what they feel about the experience, it's valid. They shouldn't feel one way or another. If they expected a trip to be one thing and they got something else, it's not a failed trip.
Do not. Yes, I do.
Just not be very careful of making judgment calls. You can say that a trip was unpleasant because, you know,
So
those exist.
the study, not the study, the analysis, they said one of the commonalities between all this 10 models was that none of them consider bad trips as a thing. They're all lessons. So there is a commonality for integration where part of accepting life is taking the good and the bad. And I think that's a philosophy for everybody. Like nothing is a failure, everything is a lesson. And same thing with these models, they all agree. There's something to be learned. So I believe the natural state to be achieved. Something that complements is the flow state. Maybe you guys have heard of it, maybe not. The flow state is when time dissolves and you're just really focused on what you're doing. I find that when I play sports, I'm really like, I don't care what I'm doing. Like I do care, I'm only focused on not one thing. And that's a beautiful state to be in. And the second thing is to remind yourself, my natural state is peace, joy, and abundance. If you find yourself ever in a state of like cloudiness, hazy, you're stuck in this loop, just remind yourself, I'm causing myself unnecessary suffering. Thinking is the root of all suffering, and then like a weight to withdraw. And I know it sounds crazy, but that's literally the one thing that's helped me because I'm a chronic overthinker as a philosopher, and that's really helped me relieve a lot of suffering in my life by just saying that one statement: suffering is the root of all. Thinking is the root of all suffering, and yeah, so just engaging in those two things. So the flow state is like finding practices, like Archie mentioned, anything, literally any outlet to get into the flow state. And when you're living in reality day to day, because obviously you can't be in the flow state, just remind yourself, my natural state is peace, joy, and abundance. So
Did you say RG? Did you say RG to me?
no, I said you mentioned arts.
Oh, okay,
Like
okay.
any outlets. My outlets tends to be physical, but it could be art, it could be literally anything. Sorry, I didn't like yeah.
Because I thought my name is not RG.
No, your name is not Archie at all. No. And the reason I think this is so important is when you're in a natural state, all the answers are within you because when you're not constantly thinking like, oh, my problem, my ex, oh, is the worst, oh, this girl didn't text me back. Whatever problem you have, I just, that's my thoughts. You make space for what's important and you tend to find more answers. Spend more time actually, finding things that make sense. It's all intuitive. You just gotta make space for it. And so we're gonna actually get back into, since we have the foundation of what I think it is to really embrace integration. We're gonna start talking about the models. So in this analysis, like I mentioned before earlier today, it was the six holistic and 4 psychotherapeutic models. And this is their definition, and I kind of made it more simple. In the integration process, one makes sense of the contents of their psychedelic experience through mindful practice and effort to find insights in which one can apply to their own lives, thus moving towards a balanced whole version of themselves, both internally and externally. This may look like adopting new mindsets, habits, or practices, complementary or alternative therapies. Today's topic. And so the commonalities between all the holistic models is the wholeness is, they believe people took psychedelics because they feel they're missing a piece of the puzzle and they were called towards psychedelics. And in the therapeutic models, they tended to see psychedelics integration as like a necessary part of, like once you take psychedelics, that's when you start integration. I tend to agree more with like the holistic models. I feel like you don't even need to take psychedelics. Life is integration. And yeah. And so this is the synthesized model. I'm gonna pass it out. This helps you find practices and ways to, choose the practices in your life to make your life better. Let's see, this is just a model to help you guys pick out, see what parts of your life is missing. And we need one more. All right, for Sean. Here you are. It's a little confusing, so I'll break it down for you guys. but guidance for choosing and implementing integration practices. So there's key considerations in the integration process. No worries. It requires effort, as defined in the previous definition. You can't just take a drug like ibuprofen and expect it to get the results. When you take a psychedelic, if anybody takes a psychedelic, there's effort required. You got to constantly revisit the experience and put in the work. 2, you don't do the healing. I mean, the psychedelics don't do the healing, you do the healing, so they're kind of interconnected. They just reveal the imbalances in your life. And I would also argue other things in your life outside of psychedelics reveal the imbalances. Some days you feel heavier and you could kind of intuitively find out, oh, maybe I need more nature time, maybe I need more time spiritually. You could kind of figure that out outside of psychedelics. Yeah. And the more profound the experience, the more processing you need to go. And like, again, this all applies outside of psychedelics as well. Let's say you go through a hiking trip, you hiked 100 miles and you felt like you were gonna die. That's pretty profound and you survive, and you should take time to process that. So remember, all this applies outside of psychedelics as well. It's a long-term process, so how I say it is a lifetime process. Every day of your life is integration. It's an intuitive process. So these are guides, right? I gave you all this, but this is not your messiah. This is literally like if you just need a little bit of help, but at the end of the day, all the answers are within you. It's a communal thing. Like I said, we have this independence way of thinking. Don't isolate yourself. Make friends. I love friends. I love you all. Honestly, I'm gonna just sit here for a bit. You guys can literally be anywhere, but all your beautiful faces are here right now. Like, that blows my mind, honestly. Like, the fact that you guys are all here, I feel so blessed. Like, thank you, honestly. You're really cool.
Yeah.
Right? This is so cool.
Like, that is fun.
Let's dance. Let's dance cardio after. And then and this is one who's very like slept on. First internalize, then share. So when you take psychedelics or go through a crazy experience, your immediate like tendency is to evangelize it, make it bigger than it is. And you're like, oh, this was the best thing ever. I saw God. Slow down. Take time to process it, internalize it. And I believe it's when you get to the point where you can explain it in the simplest terms is when you are ready to share your insights to other people. So don't just, when you go through a profound experience, psychedelics or not psychedelics, really take time to process it. And so that's what integration is. Other key considerations, and this is more for you therapists who plan to add psychedelics to your practices in the future, if that's an option, is metaphysical neutrality. Basically, what is metaphysics? It's the physics. So we're in the physical world, and then there's the physics beyond the world. So it's kind of hard. We only know the material world, and sometimes we try to fill out the gap. Just avoid being the guru. You don't just accept, like, me studying philosophy, I realized there's no evidence for or against God. It's kind of impossible to know the answer. And if you try to like fill it for other people, like, be careful. Let them find, like I said, all the answers are within you. So let them find answers for themselves. Yeah. And then set and setting. So everyone knows what set and setting is. Maybe not. Set is your mindset and the person you become. And the intentions. Well, no, it's the place and your intentions, but the part I want to add is the person you become. I believe between every psychedelic experience, you need something to reflect on. And if you just take psychedelics and then you don't really do any work, and then you take psychedelics again, what are you doing? Like, what are you reflecting on? So I really truly believe it's the person you become is such an important part of the set. Like, you gotta grow or shrink. And then the setting, it's the physical place, and that goes into the person you become as well. Because if you're an artist, you could build your own setting. You could build the office. You could build where you're gonna have your experience, and that's something to reflect on. The key part is having something to reflect on. Facilitators and guide. ideally is someone you trust. Like you gotta build that relationship before you distribute the medicine. And limit therapeutic touch because they're in a very vulnerable space. And there's a lot of cases. This is actually really bad. Like you guys look into it, like sexual assault is not good. And that happens unfortunately. So
Wait, what do you mean?
so
Like,
people
what-
are very, so basically, there's these people who like, they set themselves as, oh, I'm a facilitator, I'll help your trip, and they gain the trust of the individual.
Oh,
And then when you're in this space, you become very open-minded, more open-minded than you normally are.
Like most suggestible.
More exactly, you become 100% more suggestible, and then so that ethically is not people tend sometimes break that boundary.
Most schools.
All right. So there's 6 domains, and you guys can see it in your papers. There's the mind, which is your mental health, body, your physical health, spiritual, and this is my definition. Let me know if this is good or not. I was pretty excited when I thought of this. Your acceptance, openness up to uncertainty. And lifestyle, so your day-to-day, relationships and communities, so your relationships with people, and nature. And these are continuums, they all exist in, and this is just a guide to help you. So let's say you're lacking in mental health mind, you look at the contemplative, expressive, and internal, external continuums. And what do these continuums mean? Well, can you go to the next? Activities involving, so the first one, contemplative, expressive, means activities involving reflection, expression, so that falls under nature and mind. You guys could all read that for yourselves, but each one has activity associated with that continuum, and you're feeling you're lacking in something, you just kind of use this guide. It's like, oh, I need some more nature in my life, so I need an activity that's either engaging, passive, and I can reflect or be expressive. So if you guys, I made a whole list of examples. So these are all examples. You can scan it, and it's just a list of integration. So let me get my phone. I want to scan it too. So this is actually the document that's like how I did the research. But if you scroll all the way down, there's that list, and these are examples of all the things like in each domain. If you feel like you're lacking in something, these are possible activities you could integrate into your life. And so here are some practical tips, and I've applied it to myself. First step, determine what's domain you're lacking in the most. For me right now, I feel like nature. I definitely need to connect to nature more. So I look at the continuum, contemplative, expressive, active, passive. And you look within to see if you have any answers. Immediately my brain went to beach. I'm like, maybe I should go to the beach more often. And if you're not like me, you couldn't find an answer, well, then you consult the list. And once you have your answer, schedule it. So Sunday morning, I'm going to the beach. And yeah, just do it and repeat. It's like trial and errors, like I said earlier today. And for music, you try one string, maybe it doesn't work. You try the drum, maybe it doesn't work. But when it does work, you add it. And then one of the domains I want to explore is the lifestyle. This one's the most like different compared to all of them, because this is very strategic. And so yeah, you could do micros, for example, micro versions of your practices. I stretch every day, but sometimes I don't have time. So instead of doing the 30-40 minute stretching routine, I have a 10-minute version of my stretching routine. And that's very important. That's something, all these strategies can really help you really integrate into your life better. So yeah. And also another thing is dream journaling. Notice that's a limitation of our Western way of thinking, that we put everything into boxes. A lot of these domains are going to cross. So dream journaling can also be something for your mind. And yeah, you gotta notice that, right? So yeah, just something I want to point out, that all these are they all intersect into each other. It's just maybe one of them lean more into one than the other. And so here are some resources in FIU. There's Healthy Living Program. They have a lot, honestly. Like I take advantage of all these, like these are resources I take advantage of here in FIU. They're great. They'll teach you how to do journal. There's a guide for aromatherapy, sleep management, time management. If you're looking for more spiritual, there's chakra reward workshops. I used to go to the massages every day. They're crazy, they're free, but you gotta be first one to call 8 in the morning.
And then it's for 15 minutes only.
Best 15 minutes of my life. Like it's bliss. Like I'm just no, it feels good. Honestly. I also go to the FIU therapy. It's free. Yeah, I go to therapy. There's also group therapy, which is more frequent, and you know it's a group setting. There's Together All, which is basically an online platform where you could anonymously report your if you have any like personal struggles, and just there will be other experts that are there to help you out. It'll be all anonymous. It's a FIU free thing. Better Mind, which is basically YouTube but for professional therapists. So like it's a free resource where if you need like if you want access to experts, right there.
Yeah, for the group therapy, I wanted to let you guys know, it starts before the semester, so you have to enroll yourself before the semester.
Okay. Oh, interesting. See, I
And then you
didn't.
get like one group, you stick with them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
I love
they
that.
select you and put you with like kind of similar, I guess, trauma.
Yeah, yeah, interesting.
Wait, that's funny.
And
How
then
did you,
there's- yeah.
sorry, where do you find the top ones? Like, I've never heard of the aromatherapy
So,
or chakra.
HLP is Healthy Living Program. So you go you go FIU.
Oh, okay.
You've heard of it, right?
Yeah, they're just not, but they don't have those things like every week kind of stuff.
Well,
Like,
no,
it's
you
like,
go on. So you go on online FIU, and all those guides are there.
These
but
are
like for
events that-
every week events?
No, like
They have them like.
they have
spread out,
events
right?
in person, yeah, it's spread out, but these are guides you could just read.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, but they also have in-person events too. So they've had aromatherapy journaling like events to teach you in person,
Mhm.
but they also just have it online.
Yeah,
Oh,
someone does the aromatherapy, like if you request it to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Oh.
they'll sit you down.
I've been to one, funny enough, but it's very like, I don't know, maybe once or twice a semester.
Yeah, it happened, they had a workshop for 7 days, every week, but then it was like for one time only, so I guess they're gonna start sometime, I'm not sure when.
Yeah, and or you can just read on it online because it's there. And then there's wellness and recreation. I love the gym. And there's also physical therapy. I have shoulder pain and I went to the physical therapist and they did a full analysis on me. So like I said, all these sources are free because you get, well, you're paying tuition, but it's available to you guys. And also clubs, Panther Connect, there's literally a club for all 6 domains. 2 semesters ago, I literally got to connect to nature by going, there's a little forest in the corner. I was literally cutting trees because it was an event and we're just like, so like there's events out there that help you feel the imbalances in your life. And like another personal thing is for spiritual wise, there's religious clubs you could join. So there's that. Other resources is outside of FIU, but it's free if you guys happen to take psychedelics. It's a hotline to help you process your psychedelic experience. So they'll literally be they're trained, but they're not licensed therapists, but they're trained to listen to you and help you uncover your psychedelic experience, and it's free. You could call them whenever, and you could call them during or after. So yeah.
so it's funny that you brought up the religious clubs because there's a yoga club that I wanted to join too, but they always do their events at this exact time, like 6 to 7. But I kind of chose this club. But
That's
like,
love.
yeah, it kind of sucks. Not like for you guys, like they should see, you know, like
Yeah,
the
we
clubs.
could interconnect. Yeah, it's just like with my schedule, I work, and like this was, yeah. Alright,
It's a but like Cuban.
Oh, the yoga club, yeah, I'm in that, I'm
Oh,
the
okay.
RSO.
Oh, okay. Wait, so how did? Cause you
I
guys.
didn't go to the.
Oh, okay.
But it's happening every week, so it's pretty good, it's like dancing and stuff, so it's happening today as well,
Okay.
and free vegan meals.
And then
Yeah.
okay.
And it's like big view.
I'll definitely go there,
Yeah, it's in GC, one of the rooms,
but at this time, right?
yeah.
Yeah, I might go get a vegan meal.
Oh.
Yeah, just bring a whole tray.
So I'm closing off. Maybe I like overstayed my whatever it's 7. Wow. I encourage all of you to start integration today. It's not about taking psychedelics, but becoming whole. That's the main thing I want to pin down. You don't need to take psychedelics. And to, as a reminder, they're illegal. If you find that could ruin your life, in Florida, Florida, they follow the law federally to schedule one drug, and if you're found in possession, it could really ruin your life. One thing I want to do mention, it's 1% better every day. I'm sorry, yeah, 1% better every day. So what that means is like, sure, you could do things right for the next 2 weeks. Maybe you won't see a difference in yourself, but it's when you do it for a whole year. I know it's very cliche, but if you do it for a long enough time, the difference between who you are and who you were is going to be very apparent. But it won't be, you won't notice it in the day-to-day life. I know it's cliche, but honestly, it's real for me. If you saw me just a year ago, you'd be like, how the heck are you right now? But yeah, it's really pretty much real.
I think when you were mentioning about, doing 1% better each day, they said that if you do that, just be 1% better than you were yesterday, by the end of the year, you'd be 36.5 ahead of where you would have been if you didn't try to do that.
Right, exactly. Just the effort, bro. Just putting it in. Like, I love it. And this is a side tangent. There's a part of your brain that is, I forget what it's called, but it literally grows bigger every time you do something you don't want to do. So like, it's called like the discipline free will muscle brain part. I wish I had it, so it's like me off top of my brain. But it's smaller in people who are depressed, who are obese, and people who are athletes, people who are successful, I guess, tend to have that part of their brain bigger. As and it grows, and you could grow it, you could work it out by simply doing things that you don't want to do. So it's like if you like, so for example, if you like working out, it won't grow. But if you don't like working out and you still work out, it will grow. So it's specifically doing things you don't want to do. And it's very interesting. So
It's like, I used to, law coaching, do things uncomfortably so you can live comfortably. And that applies to every aspect of my life.
there we go. And there's some truth in everything, right? So yeah, this is the end. RSVP for the next event next Thursday. We're gonna be talking about how psychedelics reopen the reward center in your brain. So you become more receptive to integrating actually, which is interesting enough. You get more dopamine for doing things. I think I had to still read the study. But yeah. And then if you want to be part of the e-board, please apply. That'd be very cool. And please, if you want to reread what I told you, say you can. In more detail.
Thank you.
All we have to
Thank
do is
you.
copy it.